Don't skip this one, because what this single dad veteran did for two dying prisoners will shake something deep inside you. The video opens on a dusty rural highway, the kind that hums with forgotten stories. A man in his late 30s, Jack Turner, a former Marine and now a single father, drives his old truck down the road, his little boy Eli in the passenger seat humming softly. Jack's eyes are tired, the kind of tired that doesn't come from lack of sleep, but from carrying memories that never fade. Jack had served his country with honor, but he'd paid the price, losing his wife during his last deployment. Since then, his world revolved around Eli and small acts of quiet service, fixing cars for free, helping homeless vets, visiting the local prison on weekends to talk to inmates about redemption and forgiveness. One day, he received a call from the warden of Redstone Prison, a high-security facility nearby. Turner, the warden said, "You once volunteered for our veteran outreach, right? We have two inmates asking for you specifically. The Miller twins, Jason and Jake. Former bikers. They've only got days left." Jack paused, confused. "I've never met them. They said you helped their mother years ago, before she passed. They say they have one last wish, and they won't speak to anyone else." Intrigued and uneasy, Jack agreed. When he arrived at Redstone, the atmosphere was heavy, a mix of steel, sorrow, and silence. The Miller twins were infamous, once leaders of a biker gang gone wrong. Drugs, robbery, and a firefight with police had landed them in prison. Both had terminal cancer now, pale and frail shadows of their former selves. As Jack entered the room, the twins looked up. Jason's eyes were cold, but Jake's held something human. Jason coughed violently before whispering, "You helped our mom, 15 years ago. You found her broken car on the highway. You gave her your jacket in the rain." Jack blinked, memory flashing, a night on patrol, a woman crying by the road, two kids sleeping in the back seat. "That was you too." Jake nodded, tears welling. "We lost her a week later. We went bad after that, man. Real bad. But we never forgot that night, how you didn't even know us, yet helped us. Now, we've got one last thing we want to do, and only you can make it happen." Jack listened as they explained. Their wish wasn't for money, or freedom, or even forgiveness. They wanted to ride, one last time, together, on their old Harleys, before their bodies gave out. And they wanted Jack to ride with them, not as a guard or a Marine, but as a brother. The warden thought it was absurd. But Jack, somehow, felt something stir deep within. "They've made peace," he said. "Let them feel freedom one last time." After long discussions, and with strict escort supervision, permission was granted for one symbolic ride, a short route along the countryside, monitored by police. The day arrived like a storm of emotions. The twins, weak and trembling, were lifted onto their old motorcycles, engines restored by the prison mechanics. Jack stood beside them, his own black Harley gleaming in the sunlight. When the engines roared, the sound wasn't noise, it was life. They rode slow and steady down the open road, the sun setting in a blaze of orange. The wind hit their faces, and for a few fleeting moments, those broken men were free again. Jack rode between them, feeling Eli's small hand-painted charm tied to his bike, for Daddy's protection, fluttering in the wind. Then Jason shouted over the roar, "Turner. You don't know what this means to us." Jake smiled faintly. "We were born on the road, and we'll end it there." Moments later, as they reached a ridge overlooking the valley, the twins stopped their bikes. The escort vehicles halted behind them. Jack turned to ask if they were okay, but what happened next froze everyone. The brothers reached into their jackets, not for weapons, but for letters. Each handed one to Jack with trembling hands. "For our kids," Jason said weakly. "They don't know us, tell them who we really were." Then, almost as if rehearsed, the twins looked at each other, nodded, and closed their eyes. Side by side, they breathed their last. The engines idled beside them, their hands still gripping the handlebars. Silence fell. The police officers, hardened men themselves, lowered their heads. Even the wind seemed to stop. Jack stood there frozen, tears slipping down his cheeks. In that moment, he understood, it wasn't about the ride. It was about dying as brothers, not prisoners. Weeks later, Jack fulfilled their final wish completely. He found the twins' children, two teens living in foster care, and handed them the letters. Inside were confessions, regrets, and a simple message: don't carry our sins. Live free. The kids broke down crying, and Jack hugged them tightly, whispering, "Your fathers made mistakes, but they also made peace." That night, Jack sat on his porch, Eli asleep beside him. The stars stretched endlessly overhead. He thought about the twins, the road, the ride, and that strange kind of redemption only soldiers and sinners seem to understand. He looked into the camera, or maybe into the hearts of those watching, and said softly, "Life gives everyone a last ride. Some ride it for revenge, some for regret, but if you're lucky, you ride it for peace." So if this story moved you, don't just scroll past. Hit like, subscribe, and remember, mercy isn't weakness. It's what makes us human. And with that, the screen faded to the sound of a lone Harley engine echoing in the distance, not as a symbol of rebellion, but of redemption.